There exists a place on Earth where the land meets the sea in configurations so dramatic, so spectacular, that they seem almost unreal. Where mountains rise thousands of meters directly from the ocean, where valleys carved by ancient glaciers plunge deep into the earth, creating waterways that wind between vertical cliffs, where waterfalls cascade from impossible heights. Where nature has created landscapes of such stunning beauty that they defy adequate description. This is Norway. Norway is a Nordic nation located in northwestern Europe, stretching along the western edge of the Scandinavian peninsula. It covers approximately 385,000 square kilometers and is home to approximately 5.5 million people. Yet the population is small compared to the country's vast area because much of Norway is mountains, fjords, and wilderness. Dramatic terrain that dominates the landscape and has shaped every aspect of Norwegian history, culture, and identity. The fjords and mountains are not merely scenic attractions. They are the defining features that have made Norway what it is. They have determined where people could settle and how they lived. They have shaped the culture, traditions, and way of life. They have influenced the economy and the relationship Norwegians have with their land. A fjord is a narrow inlet of the sea that cuts deep into the land. They were created by glaciers during the ice ages when massive sheets of ice covered Scandinavia. These glaciers, thousands of meters thick, carved deep valleys as they moved slowly downslope. When the ice ages ended and the glaciers retreated, the ocean flooded into these valleys, creating the fjords we see today. Some of Norway's fjords are among the longest and deepest in the world. The Sognefjord extends 205 kilometers inland and plunges to depths exceeding 300 meters. The Geiranger Fjord and Nærøy Fjord are UNESCO World Heritage Sites recognized for their exceptional beauty. The Hydroelectric, Fjord, and countless others create a coastline of extraordinary complexity and beauty. The mountains are equally dramatic. The Scandinavian mountains form the spine of the country, with numerous peaks exceeding 2,000 meters. Galdhøpiggen, the highest peak in Norway, stands at 2,416 meters. These mountains are not merely tall, they are steep with dramatic relief. In many places, mountains rise directly from sea level to peaks thousands of meters high, creating a landscape of extreme vertical variation. These fjords and mountains have profoundly shaped Norwegian character and culture. The dramatic landscape has inspired artists, writers, and composers. The challenges of living in such terrain have created a people known for resilience, self-reliance, and connection to nature. The beauty of the landscape has fostered environmental consciousness and appreciation for the natural world. So if you have a moment, stay with us as we journey through Norway, through its fjords and mountains, through the settlements that cling to the dramatic coastline, through the wilderness that remains vast and untamed, as we discover how this landscape has shaped the people who call it home, as we explore the geology and history that created these spectacular formations, as we witness the extraordinary beauty that makes Norway one of the world's most visually stunning destinations. To understand Norway's fjords and mountains, you must understand the geological processes that created them. The landscape of Norway is a product of ancient forces that operated over millions of years. The Scandinavian peninsula, which includes Norway, is built on ancient crystalline bedrock, rocks formed billions of years ago. This basement rock is primarily granite, gneiss, and other metamorphic rocks. These ancient rocks form the foundation upon which later geological structures were built. During the Paleozoic and Mesozoic eras, sedimentary rocks were deposited on top of this basement. These sedimentary layers included sandstones, shales, and other rocks formed from sediments deposited in ancient seas. These sedimentary layers were then compressed and deformed by tectonic forces, creating the mountains. But the most important sculpting force was glaciation. During the Pleistocene epoch, which began approximately 2.6 million years ago, the Earth entered an ice age. Glaciers repeatedly advanced and retreated in response to climate variations. At peak glaciation, ice sheets thousands of meters thick covered all of Scandinavia. These massive glaciers were powerful, erosive forces. As they moved downslope, they plucked rock from the landscape and carried it as debris. The weight and friction of the glaciers grinding across bedrock-carved valleys. The glaciers followed lines of weakness in the rock, enlarging them into deep valleys. The valleys that were most heavily glaciated became the deepest and most dramatic. Rivers that once flowed in shallow valleys were enlarged into deep troughs by glacial action. The glaciers deepened and widened these river valleys, transforming them. When the glaciers retreated approximately 10,000 years ago, they left behind a transformed landscape. The valleys they had carved remained, but the ocean had risen as glacial ice melted and returned water to the seas. In coastal areas, the sea flooded into the glacially carved valleys, creating the fjords. The fjords are therefore essentially drowned glacial valleys. The depth of the fjords reflects the depth to which glaciers carved the valleys. Many fjords plunge to depths of 1 meters or more, depths that exceed the heights of the surrounding mountains. This extreme depth is a legacy of the tremendous erosive power of glaciers. The mountains were created by a combination of processes. The initial elevation was created by tectonic uplift. The Caledonian orogeny, a mountain-building event that occurred roughly 400 million years ago, created the initial mountains. Tectonic forces pushed rock upward, creating elevation. Subsequent erosion by rivers and glaciers sculpted the mountains into their current form. The steepness of Norwegian mountains is partly a result of the recent glaciation. The glaciers carved steep-sided valleys, leaving sharp ridges and dramatic relief. The shapes of mountains vary depending on geological composition and glacial history. In some areas, mountains have sharp, jagged peaks and ridges. In others, they are more rounded. The Dolomites and similar mountain ranges have distinctive horn peaks created where 3 or more glaciers converged and carved away the rock between them. Waterfalls are common in Norwegian landscape because of the steep terrain. Water flowing from high elevations drops rapidly over cliffs, creating spectacular falls. The Vøringsfossen waterfall plunges 182 meters in a nearly vertical drop. The Skjeggedal waterfall plunges 340 meters. These waterfalls are fed by water from glaciers and snowmelt from high elevations. Glaciers still cover parts of Norway. Jostedalsbreen, Europe's largest mainland glacier, covers approximately 487 square kilometers. Other glaciers include Svartisen, Hardangerjökull, and numerous smaller glaciers. These modern glaciers are relics of the Ice Age, but they are retreating due to climate warming. The geology of Norway also includes important mineral deposits. The country has historically been rich in deposits of iron, copper, and other metals. Some of these deposits were mined, contributing to the economy. Today, many mines are abandoned, though some operation continues. The fjords are perhaps Norway's most distinctive and famous feature. These deep, narrow inlets of the sea create a landscape found nowhere else on Earth with such magnificence and scale. Understanding the fjords is central to understanding Norway. Fjords form when glacially carved valleys extend to the coast and are then flooded by the sea. The result is a waterway that penetrates deep inland, surrounded by steep cliffs and dramatic mountain peaks. The water is often extraordinarily deep, sometimes deeper than the height of surrounding mountains. The Sognefjord is the longest fjord in Norway, extending 205 kilometers inland. Its entrance is approximately 5.5 kilometers wide, but inland it narrows to sometimes less than a kilometer. The depth reaches 1,308 meters, making it one of the deepest fjords in the world. At its head, The Sognefjord splits into several branches, including the Nærøy Fjord and Fjord. The Geiranger Fjord is one of Norway's most visited fjords. It extends approximately 15 kilometers inland from the sea. The fjord is surrounded by steep mountainsides that rise thousands of meters. Waterfalls cascade down the cliffs. The water is a distinctive blue-green color caused by glacial sediment. The Geiranger Fjord is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The Nærøy Fjord is one of the narrowest fjords, in some places less than 300 meters wide, though surrounded by mountains rising 1,800 meters. A UNESCO World Heritage Site, the Nærøy Fjord is considered one of the most beautiful fjords in the world. The dramatic vertical relief between narrow water and high mountains creates a landscape of stunning visual impact. The Hydroelectric Fjord is the second longest fjord, extending approximately 180 kilometers inland. It is broader than some other fjords and has several large branches. The Hydroelectric Fjord has historically been important for fishing and commerce, and settlements cluster around its shores. The Glaciers is famous for Preikstolen, pulpit rock, a cliff-top platform 604 meters above the water. The view from Pulpit Rock over the fjord below is one of the most photographed scenes in Norway. The dramatic vertical drop creates a sense of vertigo and wonder. The complexity of Norway's fjord system is extraordinary. There are not just a few fjords, but hundreds large fjords with smaller fjords branching off them, creating a landscape of intricate waterways. The total length of Norwegian fjords is measured in thousands of kilometers. The coastline, when all islands and fjord branches are included, is approximately 25,000 kilometers long. Living in the fjord regions presents unique challenges. The steep terrain makes road building difficult. Transportation by water was historically more practical than land transportation. Many settlements developed along the fjord shores, with land access limited. This water-based orientation influenced settlement patterns and culture. The fjords support rich marine ecosystems. Fish are abundant, and fishing has historically been central to fjord communities. Salmon runs in rivers flowing into the fjords support both commercial and sport fishing. The fjords are also important for tourism, with scenic cruises and recreational activities attracting visitors. Climate in the fjord regions is moderated by the Atlantic Ocean. The Gulf Stream brings warm water northward, keeping fjord waters ice-free even in winter in most locations. This allows year-round navigation and contributes to relatively mild winters compared to inland areas at the same latitude. The fjords have inspired artists and writers for centuries. The dramatic landscapes have been captured in paintings, photography, and literature. The sublime beauty of nature in the fjords, the combination of awe-inspiring grandeur and intimate detail, has moved people profoundly. The mountains of Norway are as defining as the fjords. The Scandinavian mountains stretch approximately 700 kilometers down the spine of the peninsula. In Norway, the mountains reach their most dramatic elevations and display their most extreme relief. Hydroelectric, the highest peak in Norway, at 2,469 meters, is located in the Jotunheimen mountain range. Despite its altitude being modest by global standards, Hydroelectric is remarkable for its location and the relief surrounding it. The mountain rises dramatically above surrounding terrain, and its elevation means that snow and ice persist near the summit year-round. The Jotunheimen range, whose name means home of the giants, is characterized by numerous peaks exceeding 2,000 meters. The range contains some of Norway's most dramatic scenery and most challenging mountaineering. Glaciers cover portions of the range, and the terrain is rugged and mountainous. Other significant mountain ranges include the Scandinavian mountains in the south, the Lofoten Islands' dramatic peaks in the north, and various ranges throughout the country. Each range has distinctive geology and appearance. Some have sharp, jagged peaks. Others have more rounded forms. Some are heavily glaciated. Others are ice-free. The mountains experience significant precipitation, particularly on western-facing slopes, where moisture-laden Atlantic air is forced upward and cools, releasing rain and snow. Some areas receive several meters of precipitation annually. This precipitation feeds rivers and glaciers and maintains snow cover at high elevations year-round. Alpine meadows exist on high slopes where temperatures permit plant growth. These meadows display botanical diversity with grasses, wildflowers, and low shrubs adapted to harsh alpine conditions. In summer, these meadows burst into color as flowers bloom. Reindeer, both wild and domesticated, graze in these high meadows. The high mountains are dangerous and demand respect. Weather can change suddenly, bringing storms, fog, and dangerous conditions. Avalanches are a hazard in snow-covered terrain. Crevasses and ice fields present hazards for those traveling in glaciated areas. Numerous mountaineers and hikers have died on Norwegian mountains, a reminder of nature's power. Yet, mountaineering and hiking are popular activities. Thousands of people climb Galdhøpiggen and other peaks annually. Hundreds of trails crisscross the mountains, allowing access to high terrain. Mountain huts provide shelter for hikers, allowing multi-day expeditions. The activity of being in the high mountains is central to Norwegian culture and recreation. The tree line in Norwegian mountains is lower than in temperate regions. The growing season is shorter, and temperature decreases with elevation more rapidly. In some areas, trees give way to alpine vegetation at elevations around 1,000 meters. In other areas, the transition occurs at higher elevations, depending on latitude and exposure. Above the tree line, the landscape becomes increasingly harsh. Bare rock, ice, and snow dominate. Only hardy plants adapted to extreme conditions survive. Lichen and moss provide color against the gray rock. Small flowering plants bloom briefly during the brief growing season. The mountains support wildlife adapted to alpine conditions. Mountain goats, called villrein, wild reindeer, inhabit steep terrain. Ptarmigan, birds whose plumage turns white in winter for camouflage, are common. Golden eagles soar on the wind currents. Smaller mammals, including voles and hares, live in alpine meadows. The mountains have shaped Norwegian character. The difficulty of traveling through mountains historically isolated communities. Self-reliance and resourcefulness were necessary. The grandeur and beauty of the mountains inspired respect for nature. The challenges of living in mountainous terrain created people known for toughness and determination. Norway's steep terrain and abundant precipitation create conditions ideal for waterfalls. Countless waterfalls cascade down cliff faces, creating spectacular visual displays and important water features. The largest and most famous waterfalls include Føringsfossen, which plunges 182 meters in a nearly vertical drop, and King's Falls, Kongfossen, near Trollveggen. These waterfalls are fed by streams draining high plateaus. During spring snowmelt, the volume of water can be immense, creating dramatic displays. The Skjeggedal waterfall is one of the highest single drops in Norway, with water falling 340 meters. The waterfall is accessible by hiking trail, allowing visitors to stand near the base and witness the tremendous force of falling water. The Lodfossen waterfall is unusual because it consists of two nearly equal streams falling side by side from a cliff approximately 165 meters high. The waterfall looks like a giant veil of water falling from the mountain. Waterfalls are important for hydroelectric power generation. Norway has abundant water resources and significant elevation differences, making it ideal for hydropower. Dams and water diversions have been constructed throughout the country to capture water for power generation. Nearly all of Norway's electricity comes from hydropower, making the country essentially carbon-free in terms of electricity generation. However, the modification of rivers for hydropower has had environmental consequences. Natural water flows have been altered. Fish migration has been disrupted. Ecosystems that depend on natural river dynamics have been affected. Some rivers have been completely diverted, leaving natural channels dry. In recent decades, there has been increasing attention to preserving some rivers in their natural state. Some river valleys have been protected from hydropower development to preserve their natural character. There is tension between the desire for renewable energy and the desire to preserve natural rivers. Glacial lakes are common in mountain areas. These lakes are often a distinctive blue-green color caused by suspended glacial sediment, glacial flour. The sediment particles are so fine that they remain suspended in the water, creating the characteristic color. These glacial lakes are cold and relatively lifeless, except at lower elevations where water temperatures are higher. The rivers flowing from mountains are dynamic features. In spring, when snowmelt is rapid, rivers swell to tremendous volume and power, carving deeper channels. In winter, some rivers freeze solid or have reduced flow. This seasonal variation has historically been important for navigation and transportation. Glaciers cover approximately 2,000 square kilometers of Norway. While this represents a small percentage of the country's area, glaciers are important features of the landscape and have significant consequences for water resources, ecosystems, and climate. Jostedalsbreen, located in western Norway, is Europe's largest mainland glacier, covering approximately 487 square kilometers. The glacier extends across a high plateau and spills down valleys. Multiple outlet glaciers, named branches of the larger ice mass, flow down valleys at lower elevations where temperatures are warmer. The Surpassing glacier is the second largest in Norway. It straddles mountain ranges and has numerous outlet glaciers flowing in different directions. The Nygårdsbreen outlet glacier is famous for rapid movement and frequent calving of icebergs. Glaciers are created when snow accumulates over many years faster than it melts. As snow layers accumulate and compress under their own weight, they gradually transform into glacial ice. Once the ice reaches sufficient thickness, it begins to flow slowly downslope under the influence of gravity. This flowing ice is a glacier. Glaciers are dynamic systems. Snow accumulates in upper regions called the accumulation zone. In lower elevations, called the ablation zone, ice melts or sublimates away. The balance between accumulation and ablation determines whether a glacier is growing, shrinking, or in equilibrium. Most of Norway's glaciers have been retreat-seeking for the past century and a half. The retreat accelerated in recent decades due to climate warming. Glaciers that extended far down valleys a century ago have retreated to higher elevations. The retreat is visible in historical photographs and measurements showing the position of glacier termini. The retreat of glaciers has important consequences. Glacial melt provides water for rivers and hydroelectric power generation. As glaciers shrink, water availability may change. Ecosystems that depend on glacier-fed rivers may be affected. Communities that depend on tourism related to glaciers may face economic challenges. Conversely, the retreat of glaciers reveals landscapes that have been hidden beneath ice for centuries. New valleys and peaks emerge. Archaeological artifacts preserved in ice may be exposed. Previously glaciated areas become accessible for exploration and research. Permafrost exists in the highest elevations and northernmost areas of Norway. In these regions, ground remains frozen year-round, sometimes to significant depths. However, Norway's maritime climate moderates even high-latitude areas, so permafrost is not as extensive as in continental Arctic regions. The permafrost that exists is responding to climate change. In some areas, the active layer, the top layer of ground that freezes and thaws seasonally, is deepening. In other areas, previously frozen ground is beginning to thaw. This is causing ground instability and consequences for buildings and infrastructure in affected areas. Two of Norway's most spectacular natural phenomena are the aurora borealis, northern lights, and the midnight sun. These phenomena result from Norway's high latitude and the physics of Earth's relationship to the sun. The aurora borealis is caused by solar wind, streams of charged particles from the sun interacting with Earth's magnetic field. Near the poles, Earth's magnetic field lines converge, and solar particles collide with molecules in the upper atmosphere. These collisions produce light in various colors, typically green and red, creating the distinctive aurora display. The aurora appears as curtains of light dancing and rippling across the sky. Sometimes the displays are subtle, a slight glow on the horizon. Other times they are dramatic and brilliant, covering the entire sky with colored light. The movement of auroras is graceful and hypnotic. In Tromsø and other northern areas of Norway, auroras are relatively common during the long winter nights. Thousands of tourists travel to northern Norway specifically to witness the aurora. The phenomenon is deeply embedded in Nord culture and mythology. Indigenous Sami people have traditions associating the aurora with spiritual significance. The midnight sun is a different phenomenon, occurring in summer at high latitudes. Because the Earth's axis is tilted, regions near the poles experience periods where the sun never sets. In northern Norway, particularly north of the Arctic Circle, approximately 66.5 degrees north latitude, the sun remains above the horizon continuously for weeks during summer. In Tromsø and far northern areas, the midnight sun is visible from May or June to July or August, depending on exact latitude. The sun may circle the sky, never setting, creating continuous daylight. The quality of light is different from lower latitudes. There is no true darkness, only twilight at night. The psychological effects of continuous light and darkness are significant. During the midnight sun, many people experience sleep disruption. The continuous daylight can make sleeping difficult. Conversely, during the polar night, when the sun never rises, the darkness can contribute to depression and psychological challenges. However, many residents report that they appreciate and enjoy both phenomena. The midnight sun allows for extended outdoor activities and recreation. The aurora provides a source of wonder and beauty during the long winter darkness. The extreme light variations have become part of the identity of northern Norwegians. Photography of the aurora and midnight sun are popular pastimes. The dramatic light conditions create opportunities for striking images. Aurora hunters use smartphones and cameras to capture the displays. These images are shared globally, creating interest in the phenomena. Norway's climate varies significantly with latitude and proximity to the sea. The maritime influence of the Atlantic Ocean, particularly the Gulf Stream, bracurates moderate temperatures throughout the country. The Gulf Stream brings warm water northward along the coast. This warm water influences the climate, keeping Norwegian fjords largely ice-free even in winter, and creating relatively mild winters for the latitude. Were it not for the Gulf Stream, Norway would be much colder, similar to Canadian locations at the same latitude. The southern parts of Norway have a temperate maritime climate. Oslo has average winter temperatures around -2 degrees Celsius and summer temperatures around 17 degrees Celsius. Precipitation occurs year-round but is moderate. Snow falls in winter but melts relatively quickly. Western coastal areas receive significant precipitation due to moisture-laden Atlantic winds. Bergen on the west coast receives approximately 250 millimeters of precipitation annually, making it one of Europe's wettest cities. The precipitation supports forests and provides water for hydroelectric power. The mountains create dramatic precipitation variations due to orographic effects. Windward slopes receive enormous precipitation, while leeward areas are relatively dry. Some mountain valleys receive several meters of precipitation annually, while areas just kilometers away on the leeward side may be relatively dry. Northern Norway is colder. Tromsø, located well north of the Arctic Circle, has average winter temperatures around -7 degrees Celsius. However, maritime influence keeps the area milder than continental Arctic locations. The city rarely experiences the extreme cold of continental Siberia or Canada. Snow coverage varies with elevation and latitude. High mountains maintain snow cover year-round above certain elevations. At lower elevations, snow falls in winter but melts in spring. In the far north, snow cover persists longer and is thicker than in more southern areas. The growing season is short in northern areas, limiting what vegetation can thrive. Forests in the north are dominated by low-growing birch and conifer species adapted to short-growing seasons. At extreme northern latitudes, even trees become small and stunted. The tundra landscape of northernmost Norway supports only low vegetation. Wind is a significant climate feature, particularly in coastal and mountain areas. Storms approach from the Atlantic, bringing strong winds and heavy precipitation. The wind shapes vegetation, preventing trees from growing upright in exposed areas. Traditional Norwegian architecture includes design elements to provide shelter from wind. Norway's ecosystems vary dramatically with latitude and elevation. The flora and fauna reflect this variation, with distinct biological communities in different regions. The forests of Norway are primarily coniferous, dominated by spruce and pine in the south and birch in the north. These forest types are adapted to northern climates and relatively short-growing. 2. Seasons. The forests are commercially important. Forestry is a significant industry with careful management ensuring sustainable harvesting. Below the forests, a ground layer of moss, lichen, and low shrubs provides habitat for small animals. Mushrooms are abundant in the forest, and mushroom foraging is a popular autumn activity. The tree line, the elevation above which trees cannot grow due to cold, varies with latitude. In southern Norway, the tree line is at relatively high elevations, perhaps around 1,500 meters. In northern areas, the tree line is much lower, around 500 to 1,000 meters. Above the tree line, alpine vegetation dominates. Alpine meadows contain grasses and flowering plants adapted to harsh conditions. In summer, these meadows are colorful with wildflowers. The flora is adapted to short-growing seasons, strong winds, and harsh conditions. Despite the challenges, alpine areas support surprisingly diverse plant communities. The fauna of Norway includes various large mammals. Moose are the largest and most abundant. These massive deer can exceed 600 kilograms and are found throughout much of the country. Moose are hunted seasonally, with thousands taken annually for food. Red deer are smaller than moose, but widespread. They inhabit forests and mountains throughout much of the country. Mountain goats, villreen, inhabit steep mountainous terrain. Reindeer, both wild and domesticated, are found in northern and mountain areas. The Sami people have herded reindeer for centuries, following traditional herding practices. Brown bears and lynx are large predators that have been recovering from near extinction. Both species were hunted to near extirpation, but have been increasing in recent decades. The return of large predators has been controversial with some rural communities who fear livestock predation, but supported by environmentalists. Wolverines and other mustelids inhabit mountains and forests. Sea eagles inhabit coastal areas and nest in tall trees or cliff faces. Golden eagles hunt in mountains and moorland. Various smaller birds, including grouse, ptarmigan, and songbirds, are abundant. The marine fauna includes fish species that support important commercial fisheries. Cod, herring, capelin, and salmon are economically important. Marine mammals, including seals, porpoises, and whales, inhabit Norwegian waters. Notably, Norway still practices whale hunting, killing approximately 500 minke whales annually, despite international opposition. Freshwater fish include salmon and trout in rivers and streams. The salmon runs attract both sport fishermen and commercial interests. Salmon farming has become a major industry, raising salmon in coastal pens. However, escaped farmed salmon can breed with wild populations, affecting wild salmon genetics and populations. Despite Norway's vast area, the population is small, approximately 5.5 million people. Moreover, the population is unevenly distributed, concentrated along the coast and in valleys, while vast interior regions are nearly unpopulated. The largest settlement is Oslo, the capital, with a metropolitan population of approximately 1.3 million. Oslo is located at the head of the Oslofjord and serves as the economic and political center of the country. Other significant cities include Bergen, Stavanger, Trondheim, and Tromsø. Bergen, located on the southwestern coast, was historically one of Scandinavia's most important ports. The city was the headquarters of the Hanseatic League, a medieval merchant confederation. Today, Bergen is an important tourist destination and still a significant port. Stavanger is the center of Norway's oil industry, located in the southwestern part of the country. The city was historically a fishing port, but transformed into an energy hub when North Sea oil was discovered in the 1960s. Trondheim, located in central Norway, was historically Norway's first capital and remains culturally important. The city is a university center and important cultural location. The Nidaros Cathedral is one of Scandinavia's most significant medieval structures. Tromsø, located above the Arctic Circle, is one of the world's northernmost cities with significant population. The city is a center for Arctic research and tourism related to the northern lights and midnight sun. Small villages and settlements dot the coastal areas and major valleys. Many settlements are located along fjords, reflecting the historical importance of water transportation. These villages maintain traditional architectures and ways of life, though modern development has changed many. Traditional Norwegian architecture includes distinctive wooden buildings, often painted in bright colors. The steep roofs are designed to shed heavy snow. Large eaves provide shelter. Many traditional buildings are preserved and protected as cultural heritage. The population is concentrated on the eastern side of the country and along the coast. The interior highlands, covered with mountains and forests, are sparsely populated. Vast areas have population densities of less than 1 person per square kilometer. This sparse population distribution reflects the challenges of living in mountainous terrain and the historical importance of the sea for transportation and resources. Even today, with modern transportation, coastal and valley locations are more attractive than remote interior locations. Norway's geology is complex and economically important. The country has historically been rich in various mineral resources, and understanding the geology is important for understanding Norway's economic history. The basement rocks of Norway are ancient. They include granite, gneiss, and other metamorphic rocks formed billions of years ago. These rocks are exposed in many areas and contribute to the dramatic scenery. The sharp peaks and dramatic relief often reflect the fracture patterns and resistance of different rock types to erosion. Sedimentary rocks are also important. Shales, sandstones, and limestone have been deposited in various periods. Some of these sedimentary layers contain important mineral deposits. One of the most important minerals historically was copper. Large copper deposits in Røros and other locations were mined extensively. The Røros mines operated for nearly 300 years, from 1644 to 1977, making Røros one of the most important mining centers in Scandinavia. The mining town has been preserved as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Iron ore deposits were also mined, particularly in northern Norway. The ore was often exported to Sweden for smelting. Iron mining has been largely abandoned in Norway, though some operations continue. Other metals, including silver, nickel, and molybdenum, have been mined. Today, mining is less significant in the Norwegian economy compared to the past, though some mining operations continue. The geology of Western Norway is influenced by the Caledonian orogeny, a mountain-building event approximately 400 million years ago when continental plates collided. The rocks of the Western Mountains show evidence of this collision and the subsequent evolution. Geology is complex with multiple rock types and structures. The East Norwegian Shield is characterized by more stable Archean and Proterozoic basement rocks. This area has been less affected by recent mountain building and has more gentle terrain compared to the Western Mountains. The North Sea region has significant petroleum deposits. Geology beneath the North Sea has proven extraordinarily important for Norway's modern economy. The discovery of oil in the Ekofisk field in 1969 transformed Norway economically. Climate change is affecting Norway dramatically. Rising temperatures are causing glaciers to retreat, permafrost to thaw and ecosystems to shift northward. The retreat of Norwegian glaciers is accelerating. Most glaciers have been in retreat since the mid-1800s, but the rate of retreat has increased. Some outlet glaciers have retreated kilometers in recent decades. The Jostedalsbreen Glacier has lost significant mass. The loss of glaciers has implications for water resources, tourism, and ecosystems. The warming is shifting where plants and animals can survive. Species associated with colder climates are moving to higher elevations or northward. Species associated with warmer climates are expanding their range northward. Fish populations are being affected. Atlantic cod, traditionally the foundation of Norwegian fishing, is shifting its range northward. Warmer water temperatures are affecting fish behavior and survival. The warming is also affecting traditional activities. The reindeer herding of the Sami people is being challenged as vegetation patterns change, and winter snow becomes less predictable. Some seasons have experienced rain-on season, creating an ice crust that prevents reindeer from reaching vegetation beneath. Tourism is being affected by climate change. Skiing season has become shorter and less reliable at lower elevations. The retreat of glaciers has affected glacier tourism as glaciers become smaller and more difficult to access. However, climate change is not uniformly negative for Norway. Some areas are becoming more habitable. Agricultural growing seasons are extending. New opportunities are emerging for crop production. Warmer sea temperatures might allow new fish species to be harvested. The warming Arctic is creating geopolitical implications. As sea ice melts in the Arctic Ocean, new shipping routes are becoming possible. Access to Arctic mineral and petroleum resources is becoming more practical. Norway, as an Arctic nation, is positioned to be affected by these changes. Environmental challenges also include pollution. Despite strong environmental protections, pollution from industry and transportation is present. Marine pollution, air pollution, and water pollution occur. The dumping of radioactive waste in the Barents Sea during Soviet times remains a concern. Overfishing has depleted some fish stocks. Whale hunting continues despite international opposition. Fish farming raises questions about environmental sustainability and impacts on wild fish populations. The settlements that exist in Norway's mountainous terrain are remarkable achievements. Building in steep valleys and mountainous terrain presents extraordinary challenges. How settlements developed and persist despite these challenges is a testament to human adaptation. Many mountain valleys contain small villages that have existed for centuries. These settlements are often accessed by roads that wind dramatically up and down mountainsides. In winter, mountain passes may become impassable, isolating communities temporarily. The Flam Valley is known for the spectacular railway. The Flam Railway, one of the world's most dramatic train journeys. The railway descends nearly 900 meters in about 20 kilometers, winding through tunnels and over bridges carved into the mountainside. Valley settlements typically developed around rivers that provided water and transportation. The rivers provided power for mills and other industries. In some valleys, farming was the primary activity. In others, mining or forestry were important. Today, tourism is increasingly important as visitors seek to experience the dramatic landscape. Traditional housing in mountain areas reflects adaptation to local conditions. Houses are often wooden and painted in colors. Steep roofs shed heavy snow. Large eaves provide shelter. Houses are often oriented to capture southern exposure for warmth. The architecture is distinctive and well adapted to the mountain environment. Some mountain valleys have become popular tourist destinations. Valleys like Geiranger attract hundreds of thousands of visitors annually. The infrastructure to accommodate tourism, hotels, restaurants, shops, has transformed many settlements. Some struggle with the balance between maintaining traditional character and accommodating modern tourism. Remote mountain areas have traditionally had limited services. The introduction of road networks, electricity, and modern services has transformed life. However, Some mountain settlements have experienced decline as younger people migrate to larger towns, seeking better opportunities. Some settlements, like Svalbard in the Arctic, have developed under harsh conditions. Longyearbyen, the largest settlement in Svalbard, is located above the Arctic Circle. Despite the extreme climate, the settlement has grown as coal mining and tourism have developed. The landscape of fjords and mountains is central to Norwegian cultural identity. Norwegians have a profound connection to their natural environment that shapes culture, values, and self-perception. The concept of friluftsliv, open-air living, is central to Norwegian culture. This value emphasizes spending time outdoors, connecting with nature, and engaging in outdoor activities. Hiking, skiing, boating, and camping are central to Norwegian culture and recreation. Norwegian literature and art frequently draw inspiration from the dramatic landscape. Famous composer Edvard Grieg composed music inspired by Norwegian nature. Writers including Henrik Ibsen drew on Norwegian themes and landscapes. Visual artists have created iconic works depicting fjords and mountains. The landscape is used as a symbol of Norwegian identity. The image of dramatic fjords and mountains is used to represent Norway globally. Tourism promotion heavily features the landscape and attraction. The landscape has influenced Norwegian values. The difficulties of living in mountainous terrain have created a culture valuing self-reliance, resourcefulness, and toughness. The beauty of nature has fostered environmental consciousness and appreciation for natural preservation. Environmental protection is important in Norwegian culture. There is strong public support for protecting natural areas and biodiversity. Many areas are designated as protected: national parks, nature reserves, and wilderness areas that restrict development. The tradition of allemannsretten, right to roam, allows people to hike and camp on uncultivated land, even if privately owned. This right reflects a cultural belief that people should have access to nature. It has enabled widespread outdoor recreation. The concept of mountain culture is important. Traditional skills related mountain living, skiing, mountaineering, outdoor survival are valued cultural knowledge. Participation in mountain activities is seen as part of Norwegian identity. Norway has become a major tourist destination, with millions of international visitors annually. The fjords and mountains are the primary attractions drawing visitors. Tourism generates significant economic benefits for communities dependent on visitors. Hotels, restaurants, shops, and activity providers benefit. Tourism has revitalized some communities that might have experienced economic decline. However, tourism also presents challenges. Heavy tourism concentrates in specific areas during peak seasons, creating crowding. The Geiranger Fjord, one of the most visited destinations, receives hundreds of thousands of visitors annually, creating congestion and environmental impacts. The environmental impacts of tourism include pollution from cruise ships and tour boats, wear on trails from heavy foot traffic, and disturbance of wildlife. Managing tourism to minimize environmental damage while maintaining economic benefits is challenging. Some communities are attempting to limit tourism or direct it more sustainably. The concept of over-tourism, excessive tourism that damages locations and experiences, is increasingly recognized. Some communities are implementing visitor quotas or restrictions. Conservation efforts seek to protect Norway's natural heritage. Many areas are protected as national parks or nature reserves. The government regulates development in sensitive areas. Environmental impact assessments are required for major projects. The Sami people's traditional lands in northern Norway have become protected areas. The Sami have been granted certain rights related to traditional reindeer herding and fishing in these areas. The balance between development and protection of Sami lands remains contested. Climate change is creating urgency for conservation. As species shift their ranges and ecosystems change, protected areas may need to be adjusted. Conservation strategies must adapt to changing conditions. Norway's landscape is changing due to climate change and human activities. The future landscape will be different from the landscape that has defined Norway for millennia. Glaciers will continue to retreat as temperatures rise. Within perhaps a century, some glaciers may disappear entirely. This will affect water availability, hydroelectric power generation, and the aesthetic landscape that attracts tourists. Vegetation zones will shift upslope and northward. Trees will advance into areas currently tundra. Alpine vegetation will become restricted to higher elevations. This will change the visual appearance of the landscape and affect ecosystems. Wildlife ranges will shift. Species will expand into new areas. Some species may be driven to extinction if their preferred habitat becomes unavailable. The composition of animal communities will change. Tourism will continue to grow, bringing economic benefits and environmental challenges. Managing tourism sustainably while protecting the landscape will remain important. Climate change poses both challenges and opportunities. Warmer temperatures open new possibilities for development and resource extraction. However, they also threaten natural systems that provide the beauty and resources that make Norway valuable. Norway's identity is deeply tied to its landscape. The preservation of fjords and mountains, both in their natural character and as important cultural symbols, remains important. How Norway manages its landscape in the face of climate change will determine what landscape future generations experience. The landscape of fjords and mountains that has shaped Norway for thousands of years is resilient, but not unchanging. The future landscape will be different, but the deep connection between Norwegians and their land will likely persist. The fjords and mountains of Norway are among the world's most spectacular natural features. They have shaped the land, the people, and the culture for millennia. They continue to inspire awe and wonder in those who experience them. The scale of the landscape is humbling. The depth of fjords, the height of mountains, the power of waterfalls, and the vastness of wilderness inspire a sense of perspective. They remind us of the power of natural forces and the beauty that can emerge from geological processes. The landscape is also fragile. Climate change, pollution, and excessive development threaten to damage these magnificent features. The responsibility to preserve the landscape for future generations is significant. Norwegians have a special relationship with their landscape. They have learned to live with it, to appreciate it, and to draw identity from it. The tradition of outdoor recreation, environmental protection, and cultural connection to nature reflects this relationship. For visitors, the fjords and mountains provide an experience of nature's grandeur. The scenic beauty is extraordinary. The outdoor opportunities are abundant. The sense of being part of something larger than oneself is profound. The story of Norway is intimately tied to the story of its landscape. The geography has determined where people could settle, how they lived, what resources were available, and how they adapted. The landscape has shaped culture, values, and identity. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Norway's fjords and mountains. If you found this exploration meaningful, please like this video and subscribe to True Globe for more journeys through the world's most spectacular landscapes and regions. Share your thoughts in the comments. What aspect of Norway's natural beauty most captured your imagination? The fjords and mountains of Norway stand as testament to the power of geological forces and the beauty that emerges from them. They are places of scientific interest, recreational opportunity, cultural significance, and profound natural beauty. They deserve our appreciation, respect, and commitment to preservation. We'll see you on the next adventure.